I'd like to welcome back to the program Representative Harriet Hageman. Harriet, good morning. You glad to be back at work?
Good morning, David. Yes, I'm back in D.C. I arrived last evening, and I'm ready to get back to voting, but I've definitely been busy while we've been out of session over the last month.
Well, I don't imagine that you ever really take too much time off. But, I mean, recently, I guess first question for you is, how often have you not been on the House floor voting and working? I mean, I know that you guys had significantly more time off than the Senate did.
Well, we voted. We last voted on September 19th. So it is moving on 2 months now, which is, in my 3 years being back here, is absolutely unheard of. In fact, we were going in on October 1st, we were going into a 5-week session, which is a fairly long session for us, being back here for 5 weeks, just coming home on weekends. We were supposed to start that on October 1st, and all of that has gone away. And when you consider that we vote about 4 days a week, that is a significant hit to our calendar for getting things done in Congress, which I actually think was the primary purpose of this shutdown anyway, David. They can whine and they can try to pretend that it was about something else. I think a lot of this was about blocking the Trump and Republican agenda, and they did it for 2 months.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, it's at last we spoke, you had mentioned that really anything that has Trump's name attached to it, the Democrats are just going to obstruct. And I agree with you. I think that was more about that than really the health care subsidies.
I think so, too. Because they're the ones who put the deadline on the health care subsidies because they knew it would break the bank. And they know that providing subsidies for millionaires really doesn't make any financial sense.
All right. So one question I've been dying to ask you is, as we just said, the House of Representatives was not in session for, roughly 2 months. But that's not the case in the Senate. I was wondering if you could describe exactly what was happening in the Senate. I mean, was it a continual vote after vote? I mean, we saw that they voted on the continuing resolution 13 or 14 times. But just give me your perspective of what was happening over there.
So they have the 60-vote threshold. And so in order to stop the filibuster, to stop the filibuster, you have to have 60 votes. Well, we only have 53 votes on the Republican side in the Senate. So in order to stop the filibuster, they had to have 60 votes. So yes, they just voted over and over and over again. And I actually started feeling badly for those people. You saw them. They were on the floor at 10 o'clock at night, at midnight, trying to get through and trying to get the Democrats to come over to vote on the continuing resolution. Eventually, it got to the point where our bill that we passed on September 19th didn't necessarily make sense anymore because it only kept the government open until November 21st. So again, when I say they were trying to block our agenda, that's exactly what happened because we were not able to continue to push forward with our appropriations bills. We have to pass 12 appropriations bills, and we only had passed out of the House 3 so far by September 19th. So now we've already been told we're going to be doing really late-night committee hearings, late-night votes. We've got to catch up to try to get these appropriations bills through.
All right. So at the very earliest, when do you think the House of Representatives will act on the bill that came over from the Senate, or the one that they're going to vote on? Because the Senate really hasn't finalized any sort of deal yet, have they?
Yes, the Senate is done.
Okay, so it's all up to the House now.
Yep. So at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we've been informed that we could be voting as early as 4 o'clock this afternoon. We will start our voting. So this is not only a CR, this is a CR for continuing funding of the government through January 30th. That takes Christmas off the table because that was the other thing that the Democrats wanted to do. They came back and said, okay, well, how about December 19th? And then we're in the battle because everybody wants to go home for Christmas. We're again in another battle of holding everybody hostage. So we did January 30th. But the other thing that the Senate did was they passed 3 of the 12 appropriations bills, and that would be ag, the legislative branch funding, and MILCON, or military construction. And what that does is that already funds a substantial amount of our government through September 30th of next year. They extended SNAP benefits through September 30th of next year. So that takes that off the table to hold hostage. And it also passed the Farm Bill extended the Farm Bill for yet another year through September 30th of next year. So that, coupled with the One Big Beautiful Bill, most of our ag programs and farm programs and WIC and SNAP, all of that will be funded through September 30th of next year. So when this happens in January, we will probably continue passing appropriations bills, and what that'll mean is it will become much less lucrative for the Democrats to hold the government hostage.
Christine and I, while we were hanging out this weekend, she had a what I thought was a fascinating observation. She said, the Democrats act just like addicts, that they move from one crisis to the next. And it really is the way that they operate is to continually keep either the House or the Senate in crisis so that you really never have a chance to catch your breath. It's just moving from one problem to the next. Is that a similar feeling that you get?
She's absolutely correct. They live in chaos. She is absolutely correct, and it is intentional, and it's why I do believe that the leadership in both the Senate and the House, I think that they handled it masterfully. They just stood there and said, we're not going to engage in your games. This isn't about the Obamacare subsidies. You guys, the Democrats, are the ones that put the December 31st, 2025 deadline on the extended Obamacare subsidies. And the reason that they did is because it's almost $500 billion of additional spending. And all the Obamacare subsidies did for a certain cohort. Now, if you make 4 times the poverty level or below, you will continue to receive Obamacare subsidies. But if you're a millionaire, you're not going to. So, or if you make more than that, it isn't necessarily millionaires, but a family of 4 that makes $120,000 a year or less, they will continue to receive Obamacare subsidies. The problem with Obamacare and these subsidies is that it really encouraged an enormous amount of graft. So we have insurance companies that have been insuring people, and the people themselves didn't even know that they had Obamacare insurance. They didn't even know that they were on, because for every person that the insurance company signed up, they received these subsidies regardless of whether they ever provided health care to that individual. So we have got to get to the bottom of all of this. We need to expose it. But as long as the Democrats are talking about these tangential issues, we never get to talk about the things that we should be addressing, which is how to fix Obamacare.
Well, I think that story in and of itself just it didn't surprise me, but it kind of blew my mind that was still continuing, that, insurers were essentially being paid double. And the Democrats no, it's no wonder that the Democrats never asked if that was going on. But there was even a question about that, when it came out that, hey, we're paying these people double. And, apparently that's not a problem for, Chuck Schumer or any of the Democrats in the House. It just blew my mind, Harriet.
Well, it's really tragic, because the fact is we would have the money available to try to address this if we were not wasting it on this kind of graft. I'm serious. There are insurance companies that were signing people up. Your name may very well be on an insurance company's roster of people that they're ostensibly covering because they get subsidies for you. Because these particular subsidies, when the Democrats passed this 3 years ago, the subsidies did not go to the individuals to help pay their health insurance. The subsidies were paid directly to the insurance companies. So the more people that they had on the list, the better. So it is tens of billions of dollars that have been wasted and stolen from the American people through this entire program. And you can understand why people like me said we can't continue to pay that.
You wonder why our healthcare costs are through the roof. It's incredible. All right. So one other question while I still have you on the phone is you and I have not had a chance to talk about Zoran Mamdani. What is your take on the would-be mayor of New York?
So there's a lot of reasons as to how he got elected, but I think this is that cautionary tale of what happens when you get in there and you muck up your elections. So one of the ways that they got him in there is that they had the ranked choice voting for the primary. Now, I was just reading a very interesting article today that if they had ranked choice voting in the general election, he most likely wouldn't have won. So what they're doing and what we have to be watching for is I don't think that there's the support for people like Mamdani, but there is the support among the radical left, the socialists and the communists, and they're the ones who are the activists right now. And so people need to wake up. This guy is incredibly dangerous. He's dangerous for New York City, for New York State, and really for our country in light of the fact that he's going to be the top dog in the financial capital of the world. His policies are going to fail. They're already failing. In fact, what was the first thing that he did after getting elected? Hey, you guys need to start sending me a bunch more money.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that this is indicative of our education system and the failure of our education system to be educating our young about the differences between communism, socialism, and a republic. I think that there's all kinds of levels that we need to be looking at so that we can fight back against this. In addition to which, in my opinion, I absolutely believe that Islam and the Muslim religion is contrary to our democratic republic and the foundation of our country. So I think that there are so many challenges that we're going to encounter by having someone of that ineptitude, number one, and that philosophy, number two, running one of our largest cities. But I think that this is a wake-up call that we have got to find a way to educate people better about the risks associated with this really insidious philosophy.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the founders because one of the very first books that was printed or that the federal government paid for was a printing of the Quran. Thomas Jefferson insisted on it just to educate people of how dangerous this philosophy was, because at the time we were dealing with the Barbary pirates. And when you talk about the failure of our education system, we have drifted so far away from that warning. I think you could definitely call it a warning from one of the guys that was right there during the founding of the country. It really is a sad commentary on our education system for sure.
I think that it is, and this we have got to have a wake up call and find out what in the world are we teaching people in these high schools, junior highs, high schools and colleges. What are we teaching them? This philosophy has enslaved hundreds of millions, billions of people around the world. Go to any third world country and tell me what their governing philosophy is, and I can tell you it's not based upon freedom, but it is based upon oppression, whether it is Iran or it is South Africa or it is the Congo or it is Turkey, or you can go to country after country, Russia. You can go to country after country after country. And the ones that are failing states are not based upon our form of government, but they are based upon what he is espousing.